I want to talk about where to go live on a boat. I'll tell you right away that if you're already a liveaboard, I'll need your help to make this video as complete as possible. After watching this episode, leave a comment about where you're living and how you like it. Don't expect a list of places with prices and services. This won't be an episode about how nice a certain marina is or how well protected a particular port is. For that, you'll need to buy a pilot book, which will give you all the information that I could never provide in just 10 minutes. But if we combine our knowledge, we can make this video truly interactive, thanks to your comments. Let's start together from the very beginning, right after you've bought the boat, to be exact. Very often, if not always, before setting off, the boat needs at least a few small jobs done, and for those, I refer you to the maintenance videos available on our YouTube channel. Ideally, to work on the boat, you should haul it out of the water, but even if you don't need to, you'll still have to find a place, whether it's a boatyard, a marina, or a port, where you can keep the boat stationary while you get ready to set off. Normally, before setting sail for distant shores, you need to get familiar with your new boat, understand how it reacts in different situations, find its weak points and reinforce them, and much more. In short, gain experience. Regardless of your budget, nobody likes to spend money randomly, so the first thing you should consider when looking for a berth that suits your needs is how close it is to where you bought the boat. For example, if you bought your boat in Savona and you're from Liguria, it's possible but unlikely that you'd want to take it to the Canary Islands for maintenance. Instead, it will be easier and more cost-effective to find a shipyard near the Magra where you can carry out all the operations mentioned above. The second criterion is definitely the value for money, or by quality I mostly mean the services available nearby. It often happens that you need to redo the anti-fouling, fix or replace some parts of the boat, and maybe you don't yet have the experience to do it on your own. So, it's necessary to find qualified personnel. The more work you need to do on the boat, the more people you'll need available, and it's important to be able to trust the professionals who come on board. Try to gather as much information as you can, and don't be shy about asking them lots of questions. That's how it works on a boat. You study and watch what the people who know how to work on the systems are doing. The third criterion is the services at the marina: water, electricity, proximity to supermarkets, and much more make searching for a berth a great preliminary activity before living on a boat, especially if you have to plan many stops and maybe choose to split up your list of tasks based on the ports you'll visit during your trip. The fourth and final criterion, but by no means less important, is the weather conditions in the area where you want to prepare your boat or even just spend the winter on it. The further north you go, the fewer chances you'll have to use the boat during the winter months, unless you keep it out of the water and under cover. The further south you go, the more likely you are to find mild weather for most of the fall and winter. The cost of a berth depends on many different factors. Keep in mind that the cheapest spots might save you money right away, but in the long run, you could end up spending more than you planned. With your list of necessary work in hand, call and explain your boating situation, then ask for a quote. Only you can know where your initial berth needs to be, but based on the criteria we've just discussed, it will be easier to choose. I assure you, no matter how beautiful and convenient the berth you've chosen is, you'll be eager to take your boat out and start your adventure. Once you're at sea, many opportunities will open up for you. As always, it depends on your experience and your capabilities to know how many miles you want and are able to cover in a day. There are those among us who say, "I'm going there," and don't stop until they arrive. And then there are those, like me, who find a great excuse to stop at anchor between here and there and go explore everything the place has to offer. What kind of liveaboard are you? If you belong to the first type, I don't think you'll have much trouble moving around thanks to long passages, but if you're the second type, in the long run you'll need to keep your expenses in check. The first question you need to ask yourself is, how comfortable do I want to be? Let me explain. Being out and about in the summer is wonderful, and personally, I spend it stopping here and there at anchor, keeping my time in marinas to a minimum since they're expensive pretty much everywhere. But many friends prefer staying in the marina because they don't like using the dinghy to go back and forth from the marina or the beach. If you spend the whole summer moving around but always mooring in marinas, it becomes a bit of a game to find places to dock that aren't too expensive. By answering this question, you can already figure out what you'll want to do and how much you'll have available for marinas, ports, and other expenses. Where are you located? That's the second question. If the place you've decided to live on your boat is the Tyrrhenian Sea, as always, pull out your smartphone and start calling the marinas along the Tyrrhenian coast. You'll need to do the same for the Adriatic or the Ionian. Let me tell you a story. In my experience as an Italian liveaboard, I set off in September from Marina di Rimini, where I bought my Gentilina. After leaving the marina, I set course for the mouth of the Po River and soon arrived at Porto Levante. While outfitting and preparing the boat, 3 months flew by, and on January 3rd, Gentilina's bow was cutting through the water heading south. I stopped just about everywhere and got a first-hand feel for the differences from one port to another. If you want to know more, read my series Piccolo Portolano on the Hinelson blog. After a nice tour, I landed in Puglia and waited until I could cross over to find myself in Greece for the summer. For 3 years now, I've been living in the Mediterranean, and not only thanks to my own experience, but above all thanks to my friends from Liveaboard, I can say that every country facing the sea has its own pros and cons. Let's take a look together at the closest countries. Needless to say, in Italy you feel at home. The language everyone speaks is Italian, and wherever you go, the food is excellent. Beyond the clichés, I have to say that being on a boat in Italy is great, and you can even spend the winter there, as long as you make a good deal with the marina where you plan to stay. I haven't noticed much difference in costs between regions, except during high season and for the most sought-after marinas. If anything, make sure to ask whether the services and facilities available are suitable for the size of your boat. I consider Greece my second home. The people, the food, the cheerfulness, and the carefree way of life are definitely the main attractions of this ancient nation. Here too, there's a big difference between the Ionian and the Aegean sides of Greece. First of all, the wind. On the Ionian side, it's much less intense than in the Aegean, which is something you'll really have to deal with in the summer when the Meltemi blows. Crete is a world of its own, both for the winds and for the economic aspect, since it's Greece but can be compared to Italy's Sardinia. The cost of marinas is usually lower than in Italy, but the services are also different. Often, you have to anchor, and water and electricity are still hard to find in many ports. Croatia, you either love it or hate it. Gorgeous, with magnificent towns, beautiful from every point of view. Marinas are well equipped and comparable to Italian marinas in terms of services. Look for the best deal by sending multiple emails if you plan to stay here for a while. It's expensive for a short stay, but less so if you stay a bit longer. France is definitely a country worth visiting. Speaking of the Mediterranean, let's stick to the south, even though northern France is something wonderful. But over there, as we all know, when the sea gets rough, it really gets rough. The French Riviera, contrary to what many people think, actually has plenty of inexpensive marinas that, if used as a base, will let you take some beautiful boat trips. The further south you go, the less expensive the mooring becomes. Like most European countries facing the Mediterranean, the Spanish coast has a lot to offer. You have the chance to choose from a huge variety of ports and marinas, depending on whether you're looking for nightlife or something quieter. Just know that the Balearic Islands are very expensive in the summer. And more generally, the marinas along the coast are very crowded. There are some ports like Alicante or Cartagena where the options are good. In winter, the closer you get to Portugal, the rougher the seas get in the Alboran Sea. Even though Tunisia is relatively close to Italy, Tunisian culture is very different from Italian culture. The landscape is very diverse. You go from the sea to the desert, and staying here for the winter means you can visit enchanting places straight out of 1001 Nights. For now, both marinas and industry professionals offer competitive prices. The marinas are generally well protected. As you've probably already figured out, all the places where you might want to spend the winter are relatively low cost, and the criteria for choosing where to stay are the ones we've already discussed. No one's stopping you from spending one winter in Greece, another in Italy, and another in the Balearic Islands. In the summer, living on a boat is great precisely because you're sailing, and by planning your stops well, you can definitely save money. In all European countries, the more touristy the marina's location, the more you'll spend. The rest comes down to personal preference. As always, remember to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications, and also follow us on our Facebook page. A greeting to all aspiring liveaboards, and see you next time with Hinelson living on a boat.